Stay on your God. Look to Him. Declare your faith in Him. Say, Lord, I don't know what to do. I'm trusting in you. Our eyes are upon you, Jehoshaphat cried. Oh, I'll tell you, there was a man that just did exactly what we need to do. He didn't do that because he was somebody great, somebody strong. He did it because he was weak and needed God. Just exactly like us in that respect. God is a God who reaches down to the weak, to the lowest of the low, to the weakest of the weak. He's not drawn to the strong and the mighty and the proud. He's drawn to those who need Him. He has the kind of a heart that reaches down. All the way down to where you are and me. Thank God. Oh, you need to stop listening to every other voice and start listening to the voice of God. Think of that song, The Voice of Truth. It tells me a different story. The voice of truth says, do not be afraid. The voice of truth says, this is for my glory. Praise God. So I will choose to listen. And you know, that's a choice that we have to make. If you're lying in a puddle of self-pity and dismay, get up. Start looking at your circumstances. Stop looking at your feelings. Stop going by all of that. Start looking at your God. Say, God, I trust you. I know this may be dark. I know it may be painful. I know it may be difficult. It looks impossible. It is, as far as I'm concerned. But God, nothing is impossible with you. I'm trusting in you today. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. He is your God this morning. He's not just some God out there somewhere. If He has called you and chosen you, He is your God. And my God, we have a right to come to Him. Doesn't Hebrews 4 tell us that we have the right to come freely before a throne of grace? Not a throne of justice where we have to deserve what we get. It's a throne of grace, where people who are in need of something they don't deserve can come freely. Oh, thank God. That puts a whole different complexion on life, doesn't it? So God goes on and He says, I will strengthen you and help you. Are you weak this morning? Thank God if you are. The song we sang, let the weak say I am strong. Now, how could, that sounds like playing games with yourself. Sounds like psyching yourself up. This is not a psychological game. This is reality. If God has made Himself known to you, you have every reason to look up in His face and say, Father, I thank you. You are my God. I am weak, but you have promised to strengthen me. The strength that you and I need is not something we have to muster up from deep within. You'll find quickly that you'll run out. And when you run out, that's when God begins. God hasn't even gotten involved when you're trying to struggle and work things out. We need to say, God, you work it out. God, there's no way I can face what I'm facing, but I need you, and you are my God. You have promised to strengthen me. I am weak, but I need more strength than I have. But you promised to strengthen me. Does God have enough? Is He going to run out? I'll tell you, you look back a couple of chapters, one chapter actually, and you'll find a God who made the heavens, who holds everything in place, calls every star by name. I guess He's got enough power. He can spare a little to help us. He's promised, hasn't He? Well, if your God can lie, then you just go right on being dismayed. Mine tells the truth. And He loves me. Now, I look in the mirror, I can't find any reason for that except for His own goodness and His own purpose. He responds to the weak. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Boy, how many times do we fall? And the Lord not only upholds us, He picks us up. And other times when we would fall, God is the one who's holding. How many times have you and I gone through situations where we didn't see any way we could get through? We come to the other side and say, somehow, God has helped me. I did not have what it took, but God brought me through. That's meant to encourage us, to remind us that we have that kind of a God who strengthens the weak, who lifts up the weak. All you have to do is go forward to chapter 42, this is a continuation of the same prophecy. And it talks about the servant. See, not only do we have a God somewhere off there, He sent His Son to walk among us. And this is a description of how He reacts to people. In verse 3, He said, a bruised reed He will not break. Do you feel bruised this morning? Do you feel wounded? Do you feel like it's just everything's about to fall apart? And you just don't know how you're going to make it? And you think God looks at me and He's disgusted. He's called me out. He's told me so much, and here I am, such a weak, broken failure. How in the world could God want to have anything to do with me? Well, I'll tell you, a bruised reed He won't break. You may be bruised. It doesn't mean He's done with you. He is one who can heal. He is one who can restore. He is one who can bring something out of nothing. He calls those things which be not as though they were, because He has the power to bring things into existence if necessary. Praise God. Praise God indeed. And a smoldering wick He will not snuff out. Now you got the imagery here of a candle. Candle is supposed to be lit. The wick is supposed to give off a nice cheery flame and give light, and it has that's its purpose. But now here's one little candle, this tiny little spark just kind of smoldering there in the wick, and you could barely see the smoke coming up from that. Now the way we would suppose, and the way the devil would paint God, is that He's a God who would say, the heck with you, you're worthless, there's no light, you're not serving the purpose that you were made for, out you go. But that's not our God. Don't listen to the kind of a God that the devil wants to paint, the picture that he wants to paint. We have a God who is tender-hearted and compassionate for the weakest of the weak. If your light has diminished to the point where it's just a tiny smoldering spark, God is not going to snuff you out. He is going to do what it takes to fan that into flame and to bring you back to a place where the light will shine once again. It'll be His glory, it won't be yours. God is not one to just snuff you out because you're weak. Praise God. Does this mean something to you? Praise God, it means something to me. Because I get in that place, and so do you. We all get there. We think, oh, we're just on the verge of losing everything, and God is saying, don't worry. Underneath are what? The everlasting arms. You think you're going to fall and nobody's going to be there to catch you? God is saying, I've got you. Don't worry. It's okay. I haven't forgotten about you. I know you go through high places and low places, but I've got you. I called you. You didn't call me. You didn't seek me out. I called you. I chose you. I've got a purpose, and it's going to get done. Don't you worry. I've set my love upon you. We are a part of what God is doing by His choice, not because of our merit, not because even of our choice, in a sense. In the sense that we initiated something. That's what I want to get across. Now here He talks about opposition. Now whether it comes from people or devils or circumstances or whatever, all who rage against you, and they do, will surely be ashamed and disgraced. Those who oppose you will be as nothing and perish. Though you search for your enemies, you will not find them. Those who wage war against you will be as nothing at all. Why? For I am the Lord your God, who takes hold of your right hand. You know, we might go through this life and not see this, but there will come a day when we will look back. In fact, the man who prophesied this ended his life under the wicked reign of Manasseh by being sawed in half.